Be aesthetic. Hello. Jesus. Hello, and welcome to my bathtub. As I'm sure everyone is wondering, why, Abigail, are you recording yourself in your bathtub? Well, I have answers for you. Are they good answers? That is up to you to judge. First of all, it's Valentine's Day, so self-care, right? Other answers. This was the only way I can convince myself to do things for myself. I've painted my nails and bath and peach wine, and that's what I like in life, and I wouldn't do this except I've convinced myself that it would be aesthetic for the video. And I'm gonna record this voiceover for you, so let's do that.
Valentine's Day and the Existential Crisis Bird. Narrated and written by Abigail from her bathtub. My story starts out with heartbreak. However, like most good stories, there's a moral lesson, learning opportunities, and an overall happy ending. I implore you to listen to my tale and watch a painting appear as the story's events unfold. Wading through the motions of the loss of a first love, my little sister's eyes welled with tears before me, and my heart broke in a way I had never felt before. Lily is the kind of girl that scrapes her knee and gets right back up to play before she even notices the blood. She'd rather punch something than yell in anger, and she'd rather get angry and scream than cry in front of someone. Through all of our misunderstandings and arguments over the past 19 years, there has always been one fact that has held us together. At the end of the day, I would give up anything and everything for her happiness. And that I did and will always continue to do. And so, my baby sister, still teary-eyed, full of the feelings of heartbreak and anguish, looked at me and asked, "Can we go to the aquarium?" And that we did. The following morning, I ordered our tickets, made Lily breakfast, and drove us out to the aquarium a couple towns over. Clearly still hesitant and sorting through the events of the day before, Lily walked into the building with hope that through new knowledge and the viewing of the wonders of our world, she could find some relief. Now distracted by all the pretty lights, magical displays, and a rather dismayed interaction with the touch tank, Lily wandered into the bird sanctuary. Before our visit to the aquarium, if you had asked me the name of that one pink bird with the long neck and legs, I would have said, a flamingo, of course. However, I met a new bird that day, the roseate spoonbill. We stopped and stared at two seemingly mythical birds as they shook their heads and stared back at us. I commented on their fluffy pink feathers, and Lily remarked on their cute but goofy demeanor. I felt as though the birds were trying to tell me something with each tilt of their heads. And in that moment, I took a few photos to remember the scene and researched them later. As I found out, the roseate spoonbill is a wading bird. They spend a majority of their time in marshes, mangroves, mudflats, and lagoons, eating fish and invertebrates. They are a tactile feeder that comb the water with their beaks, snagging their meals below the surface. When they are born, their bill is orange and hooked, but at just 10 days old, the bill will begin to flatten, and just over a month, it'll be at full size and shape. On average, they have a 4-foot wingspan and stand over 2 feet tall, males being slightly taller than with a longer beak. They get their pink color from the carotenoids found in their foods like flamingos. Adult spoonbills tend to be brighter pink, with a dark-colored shoulder. Interestingly, spoonbills begin to lose their feathers on their heads with age. The oldest spoonbill found was completely bald and was predicted to be 16 years old. Spoonbills create little bills around 3 years old. After the courting is over, both parents will incubate the eggs together. However, each year spoonbills will likely seek out new partners. One can find 6 other spoonbill species in the world, but only the roseate is found in America. The roseate spoonbill is most commonly found along the South Florida coast from the Florida Keys to North Tampa, with some populations in northeastern Florida and the eastern coast of Texas down to Mexico. While the roseate spoonbill population is more stable today, it is still threatened by habitat loss and climate change. Over the past centuries, it has fought to stay in our ecosystems. Specifically, in Florida, during the nesting seasons, they gather in large colonies in the bays. Unfortunately, in the late 1800s, plume hunters were drawn to the bays in relation to the rise of millinery trade, by which the birds' feathers were used in making of hats and other fashion trends. By the early 1900s, there were no known nesting colonies in Florida, but somehow the spoonbill survived. With the establishment of the Everglades National Park in 1947, the spoonbill now had a safe place to thrive again. Spoonbills are heavily dependent on the changing of seasons. The water levels typically rise with the summer rains and fall during the winter dry seasons. The roseate spoonbill will gather and nest during the dry season, when the high concentrations of prey are forced into shallow pools. This allows for the abundance of food for, on average, the 3 offspring spoonbill couples produce. However, the spoonbill and many other wading birds face a new challenge since parts of the Everglades were drained to make way for agriculture and development. Canals and levees north of Florida Bay inhibit the natural water flow into the southern Everglades and change the balance of fresh and salt water, disrupting the spoonbill's seasonal cycle. Currently, the nesting colonies are being tracked to determine their future, and the continued restoration of the Everglades holds the fate of the spoonbill in this area of the world. Learning more about our friend, the roseate spoonbill, I began to understand what they were really trying to tell me at the Aquarium Rehabilitation Center. They were saying, "We wade through life like you. Pushing through the water with each feeling, we live day to day, trying to survive and find the best existence one can. The hardships of our past do not define our future, and the trials ahead will not stop our continuing search for moments of happiness." At least, that's what I'm pretending they were trying to tell me. It was probably more along the lines of, "Woman, stop staring at me and give me shrimp." Nevertheless, I connect the experience of the spoonbill sighting with the heartbreak of that day, and along with that, a feeling of existentialism. To me, there is no greater reality check than that of being rejected by love. While I'm not going to dive into the different forms of intimacy and love right now, I will say that regardless of what type of love, when in love, worries fade and a sense of purpose is given. Logically, when out of love, worries become greater and that sense of purpose is lost. I feel as though I have been both lucky and unlucky in my experiences with love. I have received love in wanted and unwanted ways. I have loved many, and I have even fell completely in love with a boy once. The kind of love that flipped my world upside down and left nothing after it was over. Most days I am unsure if I'll ever get over or recover from the decade of love that I had felt for that one person. But I'm not going to dive into that part of my life either. Seeing my younger sister feel what I had felt years before, from an outside view, made me think back to why life seems so groundless and uncertain after a breakup. Nothing changes in our basic needs or requirements. The days continue on, and we still wade in the water. Love is not owed or essential, but when it is taken away, the reason for life fades with it. Love is invisible and intangible, but is probably the greatest force for all action in life. Without love to occupy one's mind, thoughts, or actions, we are left alone. And in this loneliness, we find the greatest existential crisis of human existence. Defined by Google, the term existential crisis refers to a form of inner conflict. It is characterized by the impression that life lacks meaning and is accompanied by various negative experiences such as stress, anxiety, despair, and depression. Most feelings that are also associated with heartbreak. I believe that we all experience these feelings in some form and deal with them in various degrees. Some people drink, smoke, turn to substance abuse. Others work out, play video games, watch TV, etc. All of which tend to be avoidance tactics to get through the next moments, to not fall into the pit of uncertainty. For me, I prefer to tackle my problems head-on and directly, and so I paint about them. I spend hours usually completely alone in my thoughts, mark-making and overthinking. I find comfort in the uncomfortable because it is more honest to me and I live within a balance of understanding. Understanding that everything I know could be pointless, and I may very well completely cease to exist, only to someday become worm food. And in balance through contrast, I strive to learn and push myself towards happy moments in my current state. I am alone without the whirlwind of love to cloud my thoughts, and it has been this way for quite some time. Is life better this way? I'm unsure. However, I am content in all ways that someone can be in my position in life. With these revelations, many hours of talking, and the time it has taken me to complete this painting, my younger sister and I have concluded several goals for ourselves. If we ever choose to give our hearts away again, it will be to people who don't cloud our thoughts, but make them more clear. People who are only right for each one of us. People who have a firm grasp on existence, but take the uncertainty in strides, and most importantly, people who choose to be kind despite the trials of the past and future. To tell this narrative in pictorial form, I give you the loveless bird pondering his own existential crisis. And with that, I conclude my story about this painting, and I bid you all farewell, for I am now a prune of a human being surrounded by lukewarm water. Much love as always, and happy Valentine's Day.